Okay. Good enough from your phone. The treasury report part. Good screen here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started.
Wait, can I get my cookie first?
Yeah.
Can I get you one? No,
Oh,
I'm
she's
kidding.
teasing.
Oh,
All right, welcome everybody here and online. I'm Sonia Lane, co-president of the Community Council. Welcome. So what I want to start out with is calling the meeting to order and noting that our minutes are on the rolandopark.org website. Okay, and the meeting video is being videotaped and it's on YouTube. Okay, YouTube channel. And if you look at the email for our meeting, you can see the link to that YouTube video. Okay. So first, we're going to start out with dues and memberships. This is me. So for this month, 15 renewals, 6 new members. Dues to date, $252. Donations to date, $293. So our total revenue for this month is $545. Okay. All right, so the next thing I'm going to move on to is our community announcements. And we're going to go ahead and start with Bettina.
Hi, everybody. Bettina from Redwood Village. So we're gonna have our first University Avenue cleanup, Rolando Park and Redwood Village. We do those together now. And it'll be on March 22nd at 7:30, meet at 7:30 in front of Party House Liquor. And we're gonna clean up from College to 69th on University Avenue. Hope to see you there. There will be donuts, just in case that motivates you. Tomorrow's Eastern Area Committee meeting. We'll have elections starting at 6 and the meeting starts at 7. The sewer upgrades on Boren and Glade continue. It's a huge job, but doesn't seem to be too disruptive. I usually walk by there every day. I walk my dog and the guys are at lunch, but it doesn't seem like it's too much of a problem other than taking up some parking space. So the Boren Street ADU, that seems to be moving forward. So that's the 14-unit ADU apartment building at the end of the cul-de-sac. And it has come to our attention that it looks like there's a 12-unit apartment building that's going to be next to it.
Cool.
So that's going to be, I don't know I don't even know what that's going to look like. I grew up on that street. And it's tight and there's no parking already for the people that live in the single family dwellings. So I don't even know what that's going to look like. There's also going to be, I'll be selfish and announce there's going to be a 3-unit ADU going up next to me on my tinier cul-de-sac of Romo Street, which will also be a huge impact for us because if that's, 6 extra cars, we already don't have enough parking on our streets. I don't know. Anyway. And then Streamview Drive Phase 2 improvements have been delayed. Is Roberto here?
no.
See Roberto?
It's not here.
Those have been delayed until July 2026 rather than starting this year. So we're kind of disappointed about that because we've been working on trying to improve the illegal dumping situation on Streamview Drive. And, those of us volunteers, we've been working really hard, dumpster days and cleanups and outreach and all of these things. And so we'll have to continue to do that for another year if we want to continue to make some kind of impact before Phase 2 starts. So we'll be eating our Wheaties.
They said why, what was causing the delay?
Budget.
Budget.
Always, right?
Okay. I'm learning.
I mean, I've lived in this neighborhood for years, a lot, okay? Like decades, you can count them on more than one hand. And been waiting for Streamview Drive.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see it before I leave
Yeah.
the planet.
Exactly.
Just one thing is all I ask for.
All right, well, thank you. Did you have anything else?
No,
Sorry.
that's it.
Thank you, Bettina. So then Lynn Edwards has some updates.
Away. So want to start off with an incident that we heard about last Wednesday from the city maintenance worker. We have a little vandalism going on out here in the joint use park. Someone is riding an e-bike on the turf and they've damaged the turf enough on the upper field that the maintenance worker said the city is looking at closing the park on weekends to the public. You have to give the turf a chance to rest during the off season from soccer. And so we just want to ask anyone, if you do see anyone riding an e-bike around the joint use park, just take a picture, send it to us, and we'll forward it on to Josh and the school police to deal with, okay? That's all I want to say about it, but it's unfair that a single individual will cause a whole community to lose access to a park.
Yeah.
Very frustrating. Tonight is an election. If you're here in person, we have ballots for Rolando Park members. You're welcome to do it here. Otherwise, we will post it online starting Wednesday, and you can vote through next Monday, and then we'll announce the results next month. Not expecting any surprises. Right. As Bettina mentioned, March 22nd, we're having our first street cleanup on University Avenue. We do 4 for the year, 2 in Rolando Park, 2 in Redwood Village. We meet at Party House Liquor in the morning. I know, but Harry's a great guy.
Right.
Right. And he doesn't let us drink before we clean up, so it's all good for us.
Right.
And Bettina always brings coffee and donuts. It is sort of fun because we make a big difference when we work down there. This time we are really going to be working on the front of Rolando Plaza, which looks pretty deplorable. So anyone who has cordless weed trimmer, please bring it along. I'm going to bring mine. We'll do the usual cleanup and hopefully it'll look better when we're done. I think you already mentioned tomorrow night is an Eastern area meeting. Bettina and John Hogan are both running for, John is running for re-election and Bettina is running for the open seat in Redwood Village. There is 1 vacant seat in Rolando Park. If anyone is interested, Sonia's on the board now. I am leaving because I'm termed out after 8 years. So if anyone would like to jump up and down and join, please let us know. Yeah, okay.
Raise your hand. Don't be
Raise your
shy.
hand. Also next week is the quarterly Mid-City Community Plan update. And this time it'll be at Normal Heights Community Center. It will also be in line, and I'll drop this link in the chat if anyone's interested in going. But I do recommend that you start paying attention to what's going on with the community plan update. They just released the draft for the college plan a couple of months ago, and it'll give us an idea about what kind of growth the city's going to plan for in Mid-City, because I do think it will parallel what they're doing in college. So it's important to pay attention to these things. Our biggest concerns are things that didn't get addressed at the last community plan update in 1998, and that's infrastructure. We don't have enough libraries, rec centers, parks in this area. We need to make sure, at least try and push the city to do a better job this time. And I think that's it.
All right. That'll be it for our community announcements. So what I want to do is move on to our public comments on non-agenda items. If everyone can stay to 2 minutes, do we have any non-agenda items anybody has a comment on?
But can I go last? Because I just.
Well, let's see. I don't see any other hands so far.
I'm sorry, Sonia, on this new, this is Jerry, and
Hi, Jerry.
I can't see on this new format where to raise my hand,
Oh,
so.
no worries. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to thank people who responded to the email blast about the possibility of setting up a fire safe council. I want to thank Sean for getting in touch with me from Rolando Park. Brent from Redwood Village, Cheryl from Rolando Park. And also, I've been talking to people on my street because my street has canyons on either side of the 6300 block of Celia Vista, and I'm getting a really good response. So I didn't see Josh on the participants yet, but he had said that if I could find other people besides myself on the block who would be willing to walk the Troyes flood control channel once a month, he would accompany us on the first go round. So I do have 2 or 3 neighbors on my street who are interested. So if people, and I wanted to also say that Debbie is willing to go with me on Thursday for my first time meeting with the County Office of Fire Safe Councils. So if people are interested, just let me know, and I'll keep you up to date on what we're doing.
Well, thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. All right. So let me get Renee first and then we'll get to you. Oh, you want to go very last? She's done eating her cookies, so I figured. Okay,
Yeah, can I go last?
Yeah.
Go
that's
ahead.
fine.
go ahead.
Oh, I'm last?
No, you go, yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead.
well, it's just the comics. I'm sure you're aware that the Doc Society has now closed. And, yeah, and so that's just really sad. So I have no idea what they're gonna put there. That's a big, huge place. And now we're gonna have like liquor, naked people. That's gonna be hopefully something else nice. That was a really nice, I think it's good. Red spot.
Yeah.
So, and it's a big, if you've ever been there, it goes all the way down. They had it really set up nice. Play area down, go downstairs. So just to keep an eye on that area in case other people might want to go down there and do other things down in that nice little area. That used to be pretty nice.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that that was empty for a long time before they got there, right? That it seems to be a difficult place to lease or rent out.
I remember when it was a South Asian Army.
I remember when it was a furniture store.
Alpine glass.
And, yeah, I remember it was the furniture, Wicks Furniture Store, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so just to be aware.
Right. Okay, anybody else?
I have a comment from Cheryl O'Brien online about, could we have a brush abatement volunteer day on the north side of Xena Canyon that borders residential properties? This is a side of the canyon that we don't get to when we have done the trash pickup in the canyon. We'll have to talk about it, Cheryl.
Yeah.
We need a permit for that because that would be on school district property. And we'll need trail access to get back there.
That's the biggest
That's the
problem.
biggest thing.
The hard part when we're trying to clean is with the brush, it's hard for us to get to that spot safely, in that area safely.
And we're not the right people to be doing brush abatement anyway. We can do a cleanup. If we have trails to walk on back there, we can try and get it that. But otherwise, we're gonna have to send this on to the school district, I think, to the real estate office and see if they'll respond. Sorry.
All right, any other comments?
I just wanted to let you guys know, although it's kind of like we're starting from scratch. I am holding the neighborhood watch, Redwood Village Neighborhood Watch at Darnall Charter School, the first Monday of each month at 6 o'clock. And it's held in the kind of like the amphitheater area. But there's a janitor guy that's always there and he can direct if anybody were to show up. But we welcome anybody that decides they want to come along, and we got to try to build that up again. We had not a whole lot of attendance during, well, there were things that happened in December and January, and now we're trying to reboot. So it's important work. We join forces with the cleanups when we can and all that. So anyway, we're rebuilding.
All right.
First meeting.
We've been having them.
I've already been having.
I've had 2 people, me and somebody else the last couple of months.
Mhm.
I'll take two. I'm not gonna, not
Continue.
I'm gonna keep doing it no matter what. I know these things take months.
Mhm.
So
Are you like, posting them on Nextdoor or?
I'm not doing anything
Okay.
like that. I wish our
Very
predecessors that
grassroots.
had done it
Yeah.
before
Mhm.
were there, and I just need to be a warm body that's there.
Mhm.
Okay.
But I am having it blasted at Sunrise Point and also College Park, because those are two big HOAs that are right there.
Mhm.
But other than that, I'm not on social media, which is why I'm announcing it here.
Great.
It's strictly 1 hour too. They,
Okay.
darn all, they have to be in and out, so 1 hour. They can't be more than that. Thank you.
Anything else? All right.
I have something. When did we do that? The, try.
No, but Roberta's not here, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay, okay.
All right. Okay, so thank you, everybody, for your comments. So we're going to move on to our community reports. We ask you guys keep it to like 4 minutes if you can. We're going to start with Officer Joshua.
Good to see everybody. A few updates. The park is going extremely well, Whiteman Street Park. The tunnel has now remained clear for weeks, which is no encampments. That has been chronically plagued for decades. So it's really good to see it is no longer a refuge of drug use and illegal fires, drawing the fire department away from everybody else's needs. So that remains clear. The park above is now got a fence built around. There's 0 active encampments. That whole place is changing as well. So that frees up not only the fire department, but that frees up our police officers from having to go out right to these calls that keep getting generated, which makes them more available to everyone else in the community. So that's, we're up against the budget crisis, just like everyone else. So we have to find ways to get creative, to do more right with less. So I think part of that is me understanding those points of friction from the community, what's taking up the resources, what's taking away from everybody in the community, and trying to figure out those problems, right, that have plagued the communities for decades, and then free those resources up. So that's what I'm working on in that area. I am very much aware of the e-bike at the school. I'll get a hold of Bruce and collaborate a little bit with him to see if there's something more we can do with that. But it'd be very helpful if you guys see the guy, just need a color of an e-bike. Maybe it has a certain colored frame. Maybe is a certain description of the kid. We just need something. Ideally, if we figure out like trends and times and when he's going in and out, then it's easier to kind of target, right, that area for extra patrol. So if you happen to come across any of that information, please let me know. I'm also very much aware there's a new encampment that popped up at 60th and University. I've already been out there twice. I just told them today that I'm going to mark it for abatement with Environmental Services and UPD. So I'll be sending that email very shortly after this meeting. There was a small fire on 60th, but I believe that was the same encampment. It just moved across to that encampment was off of 60th on the north side. It moved across the street to the south side. So I'm addressing that. The other thing I'm working on is behind the O'Reilly's, the shopping center, Party House Liquor, that area. There's some conflicting stuff going on there with some of the business managers that I've talked to so far and giving permission of certain people to stay because they're helpful. So I just actually had Roberto set up an email with myself and the property manager. So I'm going to surpass the business manager and get with the property manager directly to figure out who's allowed to be there, who's not allowed to be there, because I have to enforce the law equally. Can't have somebody saying, well, the manager of here and the security guard said I can be here and they gave me permission, but I have to go kick the other 3 people out that are back there. I actually just contacted 4 people back there, well, actually 5. One of them I told that it was a very short time before they more than likely were going to get abated. The other 4, I ran out of there, told them that they needed to understand what the new laws mean and that they're subject to obviously getting themselves in more trouble than they probably want to be in, and they shouldn't be back there because I have a meeting to go to, which I'm here. So they scurried away, hoping that as I keep pushing those guys back there and giving them some unwanted attention, that hopefully they start to get the message and vacate. That's the goal. It all starts with consistency, which is being there, being present, and, contacting these people over and over again. The last one, I think, actually, oh yeah, the big victory, honestly, is we had a house. Some of you may have been aware, some of you may not have been aware, but it was 3926 60th Street, number 179. It had been occupied by squatters for about 500 and like, I think 86 days now.
Wow.
Maybe 590.
Wow.
I think they're being evicted, formally evicted by the sheriff's department,
Mhm,
finally,
mhm.
this week, I believe,
Wow.
13th.
on the 13th. Yep. So they got about 3 days, 2 days in a wake up, and they're gonna get evicted by the sheriff's department, but literally this poor man living next to it with his family has spent 590 days dealing with this. And we've elevated this in every way I possibly could. We've reached out to the media. I mean, the nuisance abatement unit, the city attorney's office, the sheriff's department, I mean, city council, the mayor, everyone. We've had everybody we possibly could. But unfortunately, there was like some fallout between the owner and some civil suits and things that happened. And then it fell off the radar. They canceled evictions, and then we had to get back involved in all that and forward it to the nuisance abatement unit. So it's been cat and mouse.
Mhm.
Finally, though, I think it's coming to an end. So if you have a vacant property, you know someone with a vacant property, or you see a property in your neighborhood, I plead with you, please, all right, watch that property. And if you see any activity, let me know immediately so we can address that, because as soon as people occupy that property
Mhm.
and they get residency there, it's gonna be tremendously hard to get them out. And I don't want any of you guys who live on a specific block anywhere to deal with that one house who's gonna create chaos for everybody. So if you have a vacant residence near you, please, I know there's one close to you guys, but that one's actually looking pretty good. So it looks better now, I think, than it's looked in a long time. But nonetheless, again, please keep an eye out for those vacant residencies and the business. That I didn't know that the Dog Society went out of business. That's very good
Mhm.
information for me, so I can pay attention to that. But please, all of you, look out for that business. If you guys start to see that activity, I've actually been there for a burglary in progress and chased a guy down the street, and he ended up doing, I think, 3 years. But he was down in that basement, actually, in that big basement down below where the plate, yeah, he was down there hiding from us in the dark, and he ran out the
Like
back.
kennel dogs down there too, so there's like, I mean, the place is pretty big,
It is,
it's
and
pretty big.
that can be a lot of transient activity,
Yes.
right?
Oh my
You do
gosh.
not want that filled full
No.
of squatters.
Right.
That would be a tremendous problem I don't even want to deal with. So
Right.
we're gonna keep a close eye on that as a community, right? Everybody? Yes, yes. All right, we're gonna make sure it doesn't happen. I don't want to do that. So anybody have any questions?
Yes, real quick question. So to that extent, how do they become where you can't make them leave?
They essentially get residency. In this specific case, in this property, they were placed there with Pat. And they were
Mhm.
given like a 6-month voucher, and then after 6 months, they were supposed to get wired into benefits and get jobs, and they never did, of course, and then they had residency there, and there was no way to get them out.
No.
And because once you have residency somewhere, it's really hard, and it takes
Mhm.
layers and layers and layers, and then it just kept falling through and falling through. And this house specifically, it's an apartment, it's very hard to get to for us. I've had detectives sit up on it and try to do UC operations for narcotics related stuff. And it's just impossible because it's behind locked gates. It's a single way in, single way out kind of thing. It's very hard to like, not get noticed if you're
Right.
there working operations. So, it's just been difficult.
So
Like-
to avoid it, you just have to get them before, as soon as possible.
Yes.
And you're allowed to then
Yep.
make them leave.
Yep, you need to have an LOA on file for, if it's a vacant property, we need to know who the owner is. We need to get a letter of authorization on file so we can enforce the law.
Mhm.
We need to make sure that the owner's, deeply involved with actual property management, making
Mhm.
sure it's secured.
Okay.
And then we need to stay on top of it. As soon as we see a broken window, we need to call the police. Security check. There's a broken window. We think someone broke in. This is an abandoned business. This is a vacant house or whatever it is. And then we can come do a security check. If someone's in, we immediately kick them out.
Okay.
But if we wait 6 months and they
Yeah.
have their entire living room and the dinette set
Yeah.
up with 3
Yeah.
TVs and like 18 backpacks and
Yeah.
20 bicycles,
Yeah.
it's really hard.
Just kind of want to have an idea of, so we
Yes.
all know, keep
Yes,
an eye,
please.
serious,
It is
keep an
a
eye
nightmare
out.
when those things happen.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for the real estate agents, for the community, for everybody. I've helped haul this stuff out of these houses and the drug activity and everything else, so. Any questions?
Well, I did notice that there was an encampment next to the 24-hour fitness. You should go to that report, and that looks like it's been cleaned up.
Was that on the Caltrans side?
Maybe,
Side?
yeah, 'cause it's like something happened, because there were, I don't know if you ever saw that one, but the other day I'm like, oh, it's not there. So something happened.
They
Yeah,
just had a something
Caltrans
on
probably finally got to it.
They said there's something that was just on,
Unreal.
They're on the on-ramp over here, going westbound 94, Federal, next fast.
Dangerous, I know.
yeah.
And unfortunately, Caltrans has a whole different process and sometimes it'll take them 2 or 3 months to get that cleaned up.
So I just watched the news report right before I came, and the problem is it's a state thing.
Yes.
So unfortunately, the city can't get too much into it. The Cal State has to do it. And so it's their response.
So they
Yeah.
did something.
Mhm.
It's a very interesting thing because, you know, I work for the city of San Diego, but I am a California peace officer. I should be able to enforce the law when it comes to the state property, especially with the posted sign that says 602 no trespassing. That, you know, we've had these situations where there's a kids park, a cut down fence and it's state property. And there's drug use and rampant encampments and all this stuff. The kids can wander off to the freeway. And I was at my wit's end and I basically told the Caltrans guy, well, if you guys don't deal with this, I'm gonna deal with this because I'm not gonna live with a little kid on the
Mhm.
freeway because mom is, you know, doing mom things or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And so, or kid getting into fentanyl or drugs and all this other stuff. But I kept getting told to stand down, that I couldn't do that. I didn't have jurisdiction over there, which I do, but
Mhm.
under certain state appointed letters that came out, and
Yeah.
it was just this big gray area. So, nonetheless, it's not fun dealing with the Caltrans state property and or city property. And our mayor is actually brokering a deal, is working on it with Sacramento,
Mhm.
because the mayor's stance is, if you guys aren't gonna come here and you're not gonna clean it up, then we're gonna clean it up,
Mhm.
because our citizens are paying for all of that,
Mhm.
right? Because ultimately,
Right.
they go there for refuge, they come into our communities, they do different things, and they go back for refuge. We can't deal with the problem, and the problem is crimes are being committed.
Right.
And so that's frustrating, and it looks really, obviously, it's not humane. People should not live that way. It's a lot of addiction, and obviously alcohol and substance abuse, all that stuff, so we need to figure out how to get these people help, and not, you know, allow that, so I think my 4 minutes is up.
Yes.
There's one quick
But
question here from
we only
John.
have 2 people, so you're good.
Roberto's
Oh,
on his
Roberto's
way. John Hogan online has a question for you.
I just
Yes, sir.
wanted, if you could give me the address again of the place where the squatters were. I heard 60th Street, but I didn't hear the address number.
Are you referring to the ones for 590 days, or are you referring to the ones, that are just on 60th Street?
Oh, I thought it was the 590 days. Maybe I misinterpreted.
Okay, 590 days is a specific address. It's an apartment, and it's off of 60th Street, but in the gated community.
Park.
College Park Apartments. But in addition to that, we do have a sudden pop-up of encampment activity going on at the intersection of 60th and University.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The skateboard park, John.
Yes.
Yeah, please, can we make it a park?
I said get it done there yesterday, so.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well, I'm watching it. I'm also gonna send an email to MPD and hopefully we can get some traction here. Any other questions?
All right,
I
thank
will
you,
Run
John.
away.
Appreciate it. All right, so we're gonna move on to Willow Lance.
Hi, good evening. I'm Willow. I work for Congressman Sarah Jason. Some updates out of her office. So the House is in session this week, so the Congresswoman's in DC. They're expected to vote on a continuing resolution to fund the federal government. There'll be a full statement once that happens on our website. I also wanted to share, some of you might have been on it. A couple weeks ago, the Congresswoman hosted a teletown hall. She called out to about 700,000 people in the district. Most of you probably got on the call. If you weren't able to get a call or you wanted to hear a recording of the teletown hall, it's on our website, sarahjacobs.house. We're going to do more, so you'll get more calls in the future. And if you want to be on that list, if you didn't get it, talk to me after the meeting. I'm happy to add you on. One other thing that I wanted to share was Some of you might have been tracking that last week was the joint address to Congress by President Trump. Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs did attend. She brought with her a local small business owner of Abby's Real Barbecue. It's up in Miramar. Very good food if you like barbecue. And they talked all about the impact of the tariffs that are coming, and what that will mean for small businesses, specifically in San Diego. Something else that I wanted to share is that, as always, our office is happy to help with any federal issues you're having. If I can't help, I'll figure out somebody that can. But that goes for everything from the IRS to the Social Security Office, to passport, all of it. It's a federal issue. Come out to me.
I noticed in the post office, there's a lot of asking that's in there.
Yeah, yeah. People, if you're traveling soon, if you think you're going to be traveling in the next month, get your passport. State Department gets pretty backed up pretty fast. Yeah. Anybody have any questions for me?
No questions on all? Cool.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Will.
Thanks, Willow.
Appreciate it. I don't see
Steve
Roberto.
Roberto. It's 7:30.
Right.
Nobody else is here.
All
I
right.
wanna start.
You want to get started?
Well, I don't, because then I'll have to quit. in the morning.
Yeah. We'll give Roberto a minute. We'll take a minute and see if we can get Roberto on before we get started for our main activities.
Yeah, take a break, have a quick.
There you go. Good. Ooh. Ooh, ooh. Mhm. We can wait till the end if there's any time left.
I had questions for reading.
Sure.
Yes.
It's like, they were gonna have that one, soap thing or whatever it's called.
Soap mat.
Is it still gonna be there? Because there's a for lease sign on that building. It's like,
No, it's there. In fact,
when's that
Tom,
one starting?
it's opened in the fall. Joyce and I were at the opening
That's
for
what I
it.
thought too. When I
Um,
was driving by, it looked like something said for lease. Maybe it was for something else.
it's something else. There's a coffee shop opening up there. Barack Coffee, and there, a Somali restaurant opened a month ago.
Yeah, I think something next to the Wayway where the barber shop
That's
used to be.
That's a coffee shop.
That's gonna be the
or it will
coffee
be,
shop, right?
Yeah. So, no, both Mark and Mark Gonzalo from SoapMat, and Tom McDowell, he's the director for this location. They're both online. They attend our meetings all the time.
Mhm.
And how's it going? Like. Been quieter than I thought.
There are not any issues there.
Mhm. Yeah.
And frankly, that end of the shopping center looks very clean
Mhm.
because Tom makes sure it looks spiffy all the time. And he actually has been taking care of some of the parking issues down there. We have a lot of people on the other side of University who've been parking their cars there. And Tom just notifies the property manager, who arranges to have them towed away. So,
Is it on the north
Problem
side or
solved.
the south?
Side on the Wayway side.
yeah.
If you're familiar with the Wayway on that side of the shopping center. All right, so we don't,
Got one to say,
Oh.
if anyone was involved or knew about the Simba Hookah Lounge, is everybody aware of that? You
Mm-mm.
know what that Simba Hookah Lounge? Is
No.
that impacting anybody? Okay, well, it was at 70th Street. They just changed their name. They're gonna become a more family-oriented business because, they had they were doing a lot of things that were wrong. There was a lot of shootings, there were a lot of cases. We got caught up in some cases and some other cases. We did some vice operation. It turned in that they took it all down. So I just didn't know if that was ever a problem for anybody here in Rolando Park.
70th and University.
70th El Cajon Boulevard.
Oh, and El Cajon Boulevard.
So it's just up north a little bit. But I just didn't know if anyone, had heard of all the stuff going on there, because there was multiple shootings that were impactful.
Oh, yeah, up there by that.
But it's
Seminole.
gone, it's
Yeah.
closed down, it's now, a more family-oriented business, is what the owner told me. And,
Okay.
changed the name and everything. So,
All right.
hopefully, it's a good picture, to be honest, it's a good 5-6 years of babies.
Wow. Okay. All righty. Well, I
As
don't
usual.
see Roberto, so we're gonna move on to our next agenda item, which will be our 2025 Community Priority Survey results and work plan wrap up.
Okay. Okay, so last month we did talk a little bit, because we ran out of time, that the top two priorities were to complete the Gateway project and the illegal dumping on Streamview. So I'm just going to go quickly through those. We do have funding through groundwork for both the landscaping and the monument sign. They're in the process of getting the needed permits. We need a right of entry permit to actually do the landscaping. And they also submitted a permit for the monument sign, and these are going to take, I don't know, as long as the city will take. But we have a deadline because our funding is good through November. So we will be getting it done soon. And we will be looking for volunteers, you know, to help us get through the process. And then once the park is up and functioning, we will probably be doing monthly cleanups to keep it looking nice. It should be a source of pride when you drive in that way in the community.
That where the taco shop is?
Yeah, where the pop-up.
Yes. I was gonna say, yes. Yes. So we'll,
Yeah, they just keep going back and forth.
we'll get through this and then
Really
maybe.
don't have there because somebody's gonna get hit, because they just run across. the
I
street.
know.
They don't use the crosswalk.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple of options that we have to follow through on if they're not going to move. They were asked to move. They told both Roberto and Josh that they would move, and they haven't moved. So next steps.
You have to
Um,
pay taxes to the, I mean,
No.
doesn't fast food charge tax?
they don't have permits for anything. Claude.
They're illegal.
The owner of the taco stand isn't there, it's just his workers. So I had to like take a picture of the Zelle and track down the Zelle, call somebody, get a Spanish speaking officer to speak to them. They were like, yeah, well, we know we're gonna move, we don't want no problems, it's okay.
The person. And they started.
And then they moved across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they're doing a little.
Yeah, back and forth.
Yeah, duck, duck, goose game.
Yeah.
So we're gonna continue to track that down a bit. and see what we can do.
Okay.
So Roberto's here. I'm just going to talk about this one real quick, and then we'll let Roberto speak, and then we'll jump to the other part, which are the results, the rest of the results from the survey. So we've already talked about this one a little bit. We did get 18 no illegal dumping signs installed on Streamview for what it's worth. We are working on 4 free dumpster days. We've just had one. We have another one in May. City Environmental Services, it has a new flyer that they'll be distributing this spring, this summer in 4 languages. We're going to have volunteers, and we'll go out and canvass Streamview and make sure everyone is aware of that. And then the mayor's office told us that would be followed by targeted enforcement. So we have to have some consequences here for it to take effect. So we'll see how that works.
I do have a question to that point.
Yeah.
Does it tend, I don't know if you know this, but does it tend to be people that come from outside the neighborhood who do it?
It's both.
It's both.
But it's a lot of people from outside the neighborhood, definitely.
If you're on the west end of Streamview, people drive in on 54th. They tend to dump around 55th. There's also a lot of dumping that goes on in front of the apartments, and those are people we want to target. They might not understand that it's illegal.
Right.
They just walk everything in and put
You
it.
know,
in
the
the-
times that all this is happening, it's just all.
Oh, all the time. All the
Oh,
time.
Yeah. Although I did see someone in the middle of the day and I told them it was illegal and he put his stuff back in his van.
Oh,
Wait, I came back later, but
Yeah.
I thwarted one.
Every little
I know you
bit.
probably wouldn't
Right, every little bit. Okay, so we're gonna
Right.
pause here because those are 2 of the 3 that we're talking about tonight.
Right. And so we'll have Roberto step up. And
Sorry, I was a
give
little
us
late.
updates.
I was at another meeting, Southeastern Planning Group meeting. So they took a while, but had elections, which will happen for Eastern area tomorrow. So thank you for bearing with me. Roberto Marin, lead rep for Councilmember Sean Rivera's office. Wanted to give the most important update because probably people were wondering what was going on in Trace Parkway that Sunday with a zillion people. So actually last month in collaboration with Environmental Services Department, the Mayor's Office, Urban Corps, Open Space Division for Parks and Rec, we actually coordinated a volunteer cleanup on addition to the cleanup they were already doing. It's the Aziz Church of God. They assisted with 200 volunteers and they removed 3 tons of trash.
Wow.
We understand that 10 tons in total between their group and the ES Environmental Services Department. As mentioned, 10 tons were cleared out from both cleanups. So we thank the departments for their involvement, and they also did cut a lot of brush from that area, so you could definitely see more. And hopefully we are coordinating future cleanups with the community. Want to thank Officer Cummings for always staying on top of that area as well. I know he's like everywhere at every time, so just wanted to give you a shout out, Josh. Red curbing update. So I do have an update. We're looking at mid to late March for the red curbing. And also they're gonna be putting signage all down Trails Parkway. So that will be towards the end of the month. I should have some status on that. And that should help with the towing that I know Officer Cummings has been assisting in numerous times, and so that should mitigate that. A couple others I know, so we'll talk about the rain because I know everyone's probably like wondering what's going on. I know the city and our office have been proactively cleaning out channels. Lynn knows for the past, I think, 4 to 6 months, we cleared out the Rolando Boulevard channel. We cleared out the Bonillo channel, which our dear folks at Village Green were affected during the floods last year. So we made that a top priority and that was cleared out. We also are looking at, I know Jerry is on the line here. We wanted to report out a question that Jerry had for me that I think it's worth sharing with everyone. If you look at the high fire severity zones, right? What happened with the fires? It shows that Xena Canyon is not on there. So folks had questions of like, why is that not on there? That's weird. And so I did some digging with our fire marshal, Tony Tosca, who is great. Basically, I can provide more detail to the group in writing. But long story short, whoever made this map wasn't aware that Xena Canyon existed.
And I knew it. I
And
knew
also weren't situated that they didn't think it was a high fire zone. Tony Tosca said, once the state provides the new map, I will look at it very closely. It is important that the city consider adding areas for enforcement due to its location on a canyon rim or other risk considerations like one evacuation road. He said, I will consider including the rim and the heart of the canyon for consistency. I want to be consistent with the state's maps and any areas to be added locally. So with that being said, if you have any other outstanding areas that are not on the map, please let me know. We'll be sure to add that. For
Do you think
Tony.
it's because the school district owns the land?
That's the explanation that I was given from Tony as well.
The city didn't own it, so
Yeah, but he said it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
still
It's
fire
still a
zone.
high fire. It's a high fire zone.
Noted.
The residents are all along the.
Correct. So that is something that, thank you to Jerry for flagging that. We are working as well. There was a request to see if folks can come out and do like a free inspection. Jerry, I'm still working on it because they told me July and I said, I don't think we can wait that long. So we are trying to get that free of residents, free of charge for the fire department to come out here and just do an assessment for you on what you need to do or any recommendations or
Well, we did that already. I mean, last year.
Yeah, I know folks wanted a new one because of the
Yeah.
fires, so. And then for Redwood Village and Rolando Park, I do know the water, sewer mains are still going on. As of right now, they're scheduled to finish in the summer to fall, and then they're gonna do the repaving of all the streets that were impacted. I know folks are probably wondering, is there funding for it? Yes, there's funding. It has been set aside and it has been in writing. So, yes. And then for Hughes, in Redwood Village, they're gonna start this month with the repaving of Hughes. So, and that is in Redwood Village. So, yeah, happy to report that out. And I want to say thank you to Lynn and Bettina and everyone on the council, and all you guys, because I love coming to the meeting, even though I'm like really late. Yeah, well, yeah, so we are gonna continue the good work and we're gonna look at ways to kind of streamline some of our cleanups and try to make some more fun events for y'all. So Any questions? Renee?
I haven't been to the last couple of meetings. How are the goats doing? Thank you.
That's a good question because I think everyone had that. So actually, they're
Yes.
gonna start this month, but with the rain coming, it's put on hold because of just the viability and just the safety of the goats. So I know they're gonna start later this month. They're hoping, unfortunately, with the hill being saturated, it can cause the goats to fall off, and we don't want that to happen.
Right.
So that's why they're kind of postponing it, but I did get word that they were supposed to work on it. Unfortunately, there's just rain in the forecast. Yeah.
And any updates on the lovely, beautiful house that has, corner of Mondo and,
Yeah, I just emailed them. They're actually in court dealing with that.
see, they have their weird fluorescent weirdo lights.
Yeah. It's in court, so I can't,
Weird.
yeah, I can't comment more than that because I just don't know, but I know the city attorney's office is handling it. It's a big issue, and I know when city attorney gets items like that, it's not because they don't think they're gonna win the case, it's because they have sufficient evidence
And
against
lots of
that.
cars, it's gonna
Yeah.
cause, thankfully, because of construction, they have to move because they have a big.
There, yeah.
But still, there are way too many cars. Oh. And one of these days, something's gonna happen, and then that's gonna be really.
Yes, and Lynn has seen the email thread. I've consistently been hammering them and making sure that they stay on top of it, so.
Yeah, everyone's involved.
Yeah, and even Josh.
Jerry has a question, but I also had a request from a resident earlier. If we're gonna have goats in Xena Canyon on the north side, close to the residential area, the Urban Corps, when they were there last year, did not do brush abatement. So perhaps we could get the goats to land.
You want to start them there? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll make it.
okay,
Mhm.
thanks. And then Jerry online has a question for you.
Okay, Roberto, it wasn't just Xena Canyon. Let me just make sure I'm on speaker. Okay, so it wasn't just Xena Canyon, it was the Choyas Creek flood control channel below my house, and also people at the Homeless Coalition meeting from Mid-City and from Oak Park noted that none of the canyons in Mid-City were included, just the residential areas surrounding the canyons, and the same with Choice Park. None of that was included on the mapping, so it wasn't just Xena Canyon.
Yes, you are correct. I didn't mention other than the mid-city areas just because it's not relevant here, but you are corrected there. In terms of the Choyas, I believe you said Choyas Creek.
The
Some of
flood
that,
control and the flood control channel that parallels University in Rolando Park.
so the flood control channel, it does still qualify, but again, I think what I want residents to understand too is we're trying to work our best to try to find middle ground. Unfortunately, as Jerry has found out from me, they don't want to do any brush mitigation efforts on that side where Jerry lives because it's too dangerous for workers and it costs. I received a quote from the contractor. They want over $1 million to abate. So we're trying to find some middle ground because I know Urban Corps used to do it. So I'm still working on that, Jerry. I didn't forget about you. And so, yeah. John had a question.
And John had a question. John?
Hi, Roberto. Question about, let me turn my video. Thank you. Question about Stream View. Lynn had mentioned that the project got pushed back until 2026. Is that correct?
I believe at the last meeting corrected that, and I said it was going to be towards this fall.
But I talked to the project engineer from City Engineering who said it is 2026.
Well, I talked to. Sorry, yeah, sorry.
I did talk to Louis.
I talked to Rania this morning.
Okay.
She's above Louise, sorry.
Yes, I know she is. But, it still has 2026.
But she verbally told me, so I'll put that in writing. For us
Okay.
To understand. Yeah, John, we're still looking at that funding. It's still there. Again, we're gonna look for collaboration with our fellow federal partners, Sarah, and then other folks in Juan Vargas' office, because we want to make sure that some of that money stays there, but also that we get additional money, because as you know, these projects kind of go over budget or by time, it allocates more. So we're gonna try to advocate for that, but yeah.
Okay, so you think that probably sometime in 2026 to start or later this year?
Later this year, but I will get a confirmation and email to you and Lynn, so.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Roberta. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Okay.
So just talking about the money part, because before the budget crisis, it was funded. It's funded, this is gonna happen, got the money, it's been set aside, we're good to go. And of course, now things have changed. So that means that the money that was set aside, because we're in a crisis, it could not be set aside.
None of the projects that are currently in that kind of construction phase are gonna be affected.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it's more of the newer projects. So for example, like, I know the group wanted to acquire Xena Canyon, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, that is not gonna be a part of it.
So what's delaying Streamview Drive Phase 2, I guess? Would be.
So apparently they're
I
bringing,
sent you an email.
they're gonna bring it to the planning group, I believe, next month or the month after. That's what I was told.
She said before the end of the year.
Yeah, so will figure out the timeline, but they are supposed to bring it back to the planning group. We have asked that this get expedited just because of the importance of the stream view and how, quite frankly, terrible the street is. And in very poor condition. And so the quicker we can do it, the better the city will be in a position to start construction. So.
All right.
I need that to happen.
I will die on a hill for y'all for that one. Okay?
I literally.
And I'm only 27.
I'm a lot older than you and I need to see it happen before I die. Could be any second.
All right.
I mean, you know,
Any other questions,
Any other
Roberto?
questions? I just wanted to mention the red curbing, I think on Choice Parkway is going to be really critical. I was there 2 weeks ago at a advisory group meeting for Choice Lake. I watched a freight truck stop. He got out and came over and got in a car across the street and drove off with somebody else. And I was there on Friday, the same freight truck is still there in the same place. So some of those guys are just,
Parking their
parking,
trucks there.
long-term parking there.
Mhm.
And there was also a small homeless encampment close to Teen Challenge back behind where planning is as well. So
All right.
it's just an ongoing.
Let's just stick with it. Any other questions?
Can I ask a question about the Church Creek Parkview?
Sure.
Just talking about the plan in the future for the triangle there is to actually close that road. Can we discuss maybe closing that road permanently sooner than waiting for that triangle?
That has been.
Because that road is dangerous to begin with. It's getting a lot of trouble for that encampments and the trailers, and then the crossover from University to that road is extremely dangerous. People are crossing into 50-mile-an-hour traffic, and I think it would be beneficial for the community to just close that road completely.
I've had conversations with the Parks and Rec Department, Andy, and also with Rania at ECP. The problem is they have to finalize contractual agreements with all the property owners. I know some people are like, it's mostly city. It's actually not. There's a couple private lots. And so that takes time, it has to get processed, go through the assessor. So I've been asking since last year. So I will ask again when I go into the office tomorrow what the status is on that, because I do think that would solve a lot of the problems. But we also want to make sure that we don't just close it and no construction happens, because then we know what's going to happen if that
Yeah.
occurs. So we want to avoid Troy's Parkway 2.0 from resurrecting. So because Josh put in a lot of work, police department, ESD, and our office. So
Yep. Okay. Any other questions?
The trash pickup fees,
mhm.
Here's that the council and the people that they hired to do this have just made some decisions and really not paying attention to the families down our throat. We're gonna pay what they want us to pay. And I really think in terms of single family residents getting shaft, and they're just gonna give us.
58 bucks.
Just to make it clear, that was not the council members. We did not say we want $58. Just to make that clear, because everyone's thinking he made it, he did not make it. That is a department decision. It also has to go through council twice. So with that being said, no decision has been made on that number. No one has said yes on the council. That is just still a working product of it. And I would encourage you to keep going to those meetings and expressing concern if that's what it is.
They're
Like,
not listening. Those people, they're not listening. They're just trying to put us in a box, to do what they are gonna do. I mean, it literally is a waste of time.
Then I would recommend.
It's actually pretty insulting.
Then I would recommend you coming to the council meeting when that happens and you expressing that at the council meeting. I know for our council member, he hears the community loud and clear, and I'll definitely take this back into consideration. Again, I can't control what the department's gonna do. I could always say like, hey, we need to do more of this and that. If they wanna do it, great, they can shaft me as well. They can tell me to kick rocks, fortunately. So you already know that I will always go to bat for y'all and our council member as well. And, you know, we're gonna try our best. And I do have a meeting with the mayor's office on Wednesday. That will be a point of discussion.
All right, we got 2 minutes, 4 minutes. I'll give you one last question before we move forward. Any more questions? All right, thank you, Roberta. I appreciate it. All right, so we're gonna go back to our, okay. Presentation.
Back to this. So we wanted to address some of the survey responses that we got where we received more than one response on the same issue. I will be posting on our website all of the responses because we addressed all of them, the one-offs. But anytime where we had more than 2 questions on the same item, we thought we should just go ahead and talk about it here. So people have asked, and this came from both Redwood Village and Rolando Park, about the undergrounding. And it is stalled in this area. The last time that we talked with undergrounding, and I believe Roberto or Martha both asked, and the tentative date had been pushed out to 2034. I know, because 4 years ago, it was in design in Rolando Park, and that just disappeared off the map magically. So we don't know what the date is now. I do want to say that last year, our planning group prioritized it and sent it to the city council office and city planning and asked them to review this for the Eastern area communities, not just Redwood Village and Rolando Park, but the other 4 communities in this area, because our project was canceled before it was completed and the city just moved on to something else. So we think it should be a priority, but we don't know. And I just to see if you can see this, everything that's green in Rolando Park here, that is undergrounded. It's the southern section down here around Rolando Park Elementary and down in this area here. And then a very big chunk of Redwood Village are not undergrounded yet. You see that Stream View got done early on because they did anticipate that there would be a phase for Stream View where this needed to be done. So I don't have answers. I'm sorry. It's just, we can't get a date from anyone, but it's not happening this year.
Is Redwood Village the red part? I can't see.
That is actually, that's a section that was just finished. And that's along Hughes where they're doing some post undergrounding improvements. That's where they're going to be doing sidewalks on Hughes, I think. And usually, I mean, part of it is they will add additional street lights. Big projects like this take a long time because they have to coordinate not only the undergrounding, but if they haven't, replaced water and sewer mains, they look to see how they fit that into the schedule. Because I don't know who remembers when we did undergrounding here, it never ended. I mean, we had undergrounding and the streets were all torn up and we all said, oh my God, when are they going to repave? And then they came and they did sewer, and then they came back and did water. And then, 2 years after that, they came back and paved the streets. So it can be like an 8 to 10 year process to get it all done. It's just getting it started. Sorry, Sonia. We got a few responses, questions about University Avenue, the potholes. Yeah, the street looks awful. But that is supposed to be addressed with as part of the University Bikeway project. They will be repaving University from 54th to 69th. That's our section of the Bikeway project. But in the interim, people, if you see potholes, finally get it done. It's super easy. I file potholes and illegal dumping every single week. It's easy to do. And they're very generally pretty responsive about potholes. Within a week, they get out and take care of that. People asked if we can do anything about the businesses along University. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish. No, we can't develop University Avenue businesses. So the short response is we don't have the bandwidth to go and visit businesses and ask them if they would like to participate in the city's storefront improvement program, where the city pays a portion to help them spiffy up the front of their storefronts. Number one, that funding is probably going to go away this year,
Right.
if it hasn't already, for budgets. But we just don't have people to go out and do that and talk to people. So number two, we can't develop businesses. That's up to developers. I'm going to say we've had little luck in the 10 years that we've been on the council and trying to get new businesses to locate here.
Yeah.
It's just not an attractive, the spaces are too small for big stores, big businesses. I think what hurts is losing the grocery stores that we had here 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We just don't have much. On the plus side, we just opened a Somali restaurant at Rolando Plaza, Bizbaz. And if you like goat, I understand it's really good.
Very good.
Should ask for
Very good.
Roberto. We were both at the grand opening. They're the nicest people ever. They had a huge crowd. 100 people showed up at least
They
for the
closed early
opening.
that day.
Yeah, they had to. They probably ran out of food. And there's a coffee shop opening up sometime soon next to Weiwei called Barak Coffee. Don't know anything about it, but we'll try and find out. And we just want to encourage you to support the businesses that we do have here that have supported the community council. Regent's Pharmacy. Where else can you find your own local pharmacy that calls you by name? They know you when you call. Oh, hi, Lynn. You know, US Cleaners, which is right off Billman and College. Great guy. Sam's a retired Navy veteran. It's a great little cleaners, super supportive of the community. And Weiwei has supported every event we've ever done. He's shown up with food. He's provided gift certificates, whatever we need. Sky has supported us 100%. So support the good businesses that we do have, I think.
Are they on your website, the businesses that really go above and beyond?
No, we don't.
Can't do that.
We could, but
It's probably not the best thing to do. Yeah.
Nonprofit stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
College Avenue, got a bunch of stuff about this and they're all entirely accurate. There's a lot of trash on College Avenue, particularly on the east side, on our side. And people want to see it cleaned up, I agree. And they want to see the Pocket Park cleaned up. So I want to just say there is not a sidewalk past Judy McCarty Way to College Grove. We can't have people stepping out in the street to clean that area up. That's just a super liability we can't do. What we can do is get a permit from the city and they would close a lane down for us. We'd probably be there about an hour. But it seems to be very difficult to get a permit. Very difficult. So when we get a permit, we will plan a cleanup there. There's another side story to this, which is that we talked about a lot of those homes that back up to that area have overgrown brush that's draping down over the sidewalk. And Roberto checked for us with environmental services. That is a homeowner's responsibility. So we want to gently go out and give them flyers and let them know that they're going to have to clean that up, or the fire marshal's going to have to come and not gently remind them. So that'll go along with doing a cleanup, is to get all of that cleaned up as well. Once we start the Paca Park, well, we're not going to be able to start. We don't want to be doing a lot of cleanup there now because we're going to be starting construction. And we don't want to get in the way of the pop-up stand, so.
I think construction will be helpful.
I think it will be, yeah.
Yes,
That's
Um,
gonna help.
I
exactly.
think, I wanted to say, Rolando Village does a once-a-month coffee thing at their little median with their monument sign. I don't know why we can't do a once-a-month coffee thing at our little pocket park
Yeah.
and just get people out,
Yeah.
It'd be a nice thing to do, nice way to meet people and keep it, again, community pride. I scarcely know where to begin about this because this has been on our list for as long as we've been on, almost as long as we've been on here. And we got more responses about traffic than anything this year. Not surprising. I just goes on and on. So I want to start by saying, first of all, we see speeding and we see people blowing through stop signs, not just in Rolando Park, but everywhere I drive anymore. Everywhere. And it's not just blowing through a stop sign on a right turn. There are people just full on running stop signs in our community every day. And it's everywhere.
Running red lights.
Yeah,
So they wouldn't think twice about a stop sign.
no. So I just wanted to say some positive things that we've done over the last few years, because we've tried to get some stuff done. We've had traffic studies done by traffic engineering on all of our north-south streets, all of our east-west streets. None of them have ever qualified according to traffic engineering, except the 3 locations where we have radar speed signs have never qualified for traffic calming. We just had studies done last year on Aragon again, and Loma Alta again, and Vista Grande again. Those are our 3 north major streets, and the speeds, they use the 85th percentile, which means 85% of the people must be driving at 35 miles an hour. And you don't see that between stop sign to stop sign. You do see 30 miles an hour because that's what it always comes back as, 30 miles an hour. So,
With the elementary school drop-offs, those parents go through there pretty quick.
oh, yeah, they're some of our worst offenders. Right. Don't give the PTA ball over here at bad time, okay?
That road right in front of the elementary, that block.
That
Yeah.
stop sign is actually there because the community council advocated for it. The traffic engineering told us that we didn't warrant
Yeah.
a stop sign there.
So it was petition.
Yeah.
Put a petition and put it there.
So there's an alternate process where the community drives getting a stop sign done. We gathered signatures. We took it to our planning group and everybody approved it. It went on. We've done that 4 times in the community. And that's the only reason I think why we don't have 40 miles per hour in the neighborhood is because people do slow down a little bit at the stop signs. But yeah. So we did a couple of community engagement projects over these last few years too. I don't know how many of you were here. Gosh, it's been 7 years
Yeah,
ago.
it's
We
been a
did a
while.
community
Yeah.
pace car program and we partnered with traffic enforcement from San Diego Police to do this. And we,
On my car.
yeah,
It's just blocking out.
I have some still.
Yeah.
It was very modestly successful. The positive for us was that traffic enforcement came out because they had a grant and they actually sat at stop signs and flagged people for several months. So that made a big difference for a few years, just having them here.
The negative was there were too many people who lived in the neighborhood who were speeding.
They didn't like enforcement, right?
Yeah. It turns out, and I don't know if it's true because we have a lot of cut through traffic now, but the
Yeah.
general rule is that about 50% of the people in the community are residents who speed, so. We did a little project not too long after that with the school kids, and we did yard signs. One of the kids at the school created a yard sign that we printed. We had these all over the neighborhood for a couple of years. The unfortunate thing is this signage, like stop signs and 25-mile-per-hour signs, just doesn't make that much difference over time. Signage isn't the
It
solution.
disappears.
Yeah.
Bumps.
So this time we're working on something different because we did talk to Josh a little bit about getting some traffic enforcement in the neighborhoods. It's going to be very limited. So what we want to do is identify specific intersections and times when we see a high volume of violations and see if we can get traffic enforcement to come out during those times. It's not a permanent solution. It's going to provide a little bit of relief, but this is not the answer for a community either. Not really. We do want to, I'm going to put this in the chat. And it's also on our website. Anybody can file a request with San Diego Police Department and ask for extra patrols, extra traffic enforcement. I did it when they put the radar speed signs in, and we had traffic enforcement out for a day. Yeah. A day. And that's really, we're not going to get a high level of help here. I just don't have good answers. We don't have good any of this right now, folks. It's a big problem, and there's not enough police to help us. I don't know what the solution is. So 2 things I want to mention. I mentioned, because I'm in the working group for the community plan update for Mid-City, the city actually just did a mobility study in the Mid-City area, and that's us, this past year. And it was interesting to find out that one of the reasons I think we're seeing so much cut-through traffic has to do with a lack of coordination between the traffic signals on College Avenue, all the way from Livingston to the 8. They're not, none of them are coordinated. And the one day last week, I was on College coming home. It was 4 o'clock, and the traffic was backed up from College Grove to Billman.
Yep.
And that happens all the time.
Yes.
So people who don't want to sit on College for 20 minutes, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to get off at Billman, they're going to get off at Streamview, they're going to get off on College Grove and cut through the neighborhood. So that is a problem for us. So I did send an email. I contacted our traffic engineer. Don't have a response back yet, but I did ask, because this would be a capital improvement project, if they know when they will have funding, or if it is already in the works to look at the traffic signal upgrades on College Avenue. The second part of another thing that we would like to consider or have our council member help us with is a policy change, and that's not to use the 85th percentile to measure volume of traffic in a community. A speed measurement shouldn't be used to measure volume of traffic. So when they say, well, I'm sorry, your traffic is 30 miles an hour, they're ignoring the fact that the traffic has increased in our community 300% in the last 10 years. I did a public records request and got traffic reports back to 2014. And all 3 north-south streets have seen a 300% increase in the last 10 years. So using a speed measurement is not the best thing. We will probably write a formal letter and ask for help on that to see if that's something we could get some help. It's a policy change. We don't know. So the last thing I just want to say is, I don't know if you can see this, but this is what happens when you have three times the amount of traffic you should have on streets in your neighborhood. And that's how they deteriorate so much quicker with the volume of traffic. This is Xena Drive, which in 2016, when they measured the street condition, it was a 96, just over 96. And in 2023, it was down to 36.
I wonder if that was all the city trucks parking on.
Well, no, because it gets worse. Here's Aragon. Yeah, here's Aragon on the 3900 block, which in 2016 was at 98, and it's down to 29.78 now. And then the last one I saw is an East-West Street, and that's Celia Vista, just west of 69th Street, which is a failed street now. Yeah. It went from 90.49 in 2016 down to 5.29 2 years ago. I mean, it's basically a rutted street. So anyway.
Yeah, they've been working on that for over a year.
Well, they're not working on Celia Vista.
Well, I mean, the 69 down at University.
Well, that's La
Yeah,
Mesa.
That's
That's
La
a-
Mesa. That's not us.
Working on it for over a year.
Some other things we could consider, someone brought this up at the Circulate Walk audit we did last year about getting a raised crosswalk in front of the school. I think we should consider pursuing it. The issue for us is that that's one of the stop sign intersections where we use the alternate process. So because we did that, we have to come back the same way. We have to come back and go through all the steps and take it to the planning group, and then it would go to city council to take that stop sign out. And we don't want to do that unless we're assured that there's a possibility that we can get a raised crosswalk and that there's funding there to do it in a reasonable time. But other than that, we're open to suggestions.
Can you re-explain your proposal to change policy for the 85th percentile?
We're just asking if they could use another measurement besides using the 85th percentile to measure cut-through traffic.
Are you talking about the speed for the speed profile or for the volume?
The volume.
Okay, because the 85th normally is for the determining the proper speed for the
Exactly.
design of the road, which is not completely related to volume. It's more related to how the street is designed. And I would suggest we do not change that. If the street is designed for that 85th percentile, that's the speed limit. So I'd like to put that as a opposing opinion in terms of changing that 85th percentile. That's an engineering guideline for how the streets are designed.
And do you think that applies to the older streets? Because I find that the older streets in the mid-city are quite a bit different than new developments. They plan for traffic calming in new developments. They didn't plan for that here in mid-city.
But that's exactly the point. So if the 85th percentile shows that you're showing higher speeds, what needs to change is the design of the street. So basically you can put planters that are alternates. You can do something that's a bit more difficult to circulate, but that's exactly why you want to use that to say the street is unfortunately not designed to calm the traffic. So I think it is a good rule.
Well, I would agree for speed, but I don't agree for volume. And what we're looking at is a volume increase here.
Right, but the speed. So do not mix the two then, because the speed is relative to how the street is designed. So if it's designed like I-15, the percentile will be 75 miles an hour, and so to change that you need to change the design of the street, and by changing the design of the street the volume will go down automatically because the speed will go down.
But to say that in a residential area you have to have 35-mile-per-hour speeds, which you can't possibly achieve if you have stop signs, there's no way to.
Right, but that's exactly. So you're saying exactly what the rule is supposed to do. It'll tell you if you need more stop signs. It'll tell you if you need changes in designs, right? That's why it's there. If for example, the 85th percentile shows 45 miles an hour, the street is obviously designed completely wrong for the residential area.
Yeah, that seems to be almost a given, is that you need a fatality to get traffic calming now.
Right.
We can.
Okay.
What you just said, like, what exactly is the definition of 85%? Does it affect the volume? Sorry, I don't know who you are.
Nordine.
The higher the speed, the higher you will have volume. So if your 85th percentile gets to be 10 miles an hour, the volume will go down automatically because people won't use it as an exit or as an alternate.
Okay, let me just say, Nordine, because when we started, the first traffic study that we had done when we joined the community council, we had just over 1,000 cars a day on Aragon Drive, and the 85th was 34 miles an hour. Today, or last year when we had this done, the 85th was 30 miles per hour, but we have 3,000 cars a day going through
control
there.
the volume.
Yeah,
So it doesn't control the volume.
it does not control volume. So basically, it doesn't matter what the 85th percentile is. What needs to happen, and I lived in Mira Mesa before, and they had to do some traffic control because they were installing this new ramp that goes to the I-15 for the carpool lanes. What they did was to make the road so difficult to travel through that nobody would use that as an alternate route to the thing that was a bit faster. So basically, you put in place gigantic blocks with planters in them where people have to zigzag between the thing, and it takes them forever to get there. And that basically automatically gets
Increases
your
the volume
percentile down.
and slows it down.
Down. There's
But how do you get
very
there?
bad-
But how do you get there? if the
That's the
traffic-
thing, is how do you
You-
get
you-
there? If it shows 30 at 85 percentile, then there's no justification for changing the streets, right?
No. You're saying you have to say that basically it is too high for the residential area you're in. You are asking for something that will bring down the 85th percentile down to 25 or 20.
Okay. Right? Consider that. If it's
Yeah, you gotta
our
be
residence is 25, then we
Yeah,
can
for-
make that request because it shouldn't be at 30.
And if you're asking for you got to be careful asking for a traffic study because they can actually show you that it's at 25 now and it should really be at 35, and they raise your speed limit, right?
Well,
They-
they're not doing that now after AB 43. They're not raising them anymore.
But the goal should be to show them, hey, it is too high for where we are. You should change the design, and we're proposing X and Y, so speed bumps, stop signs, plant,
Yeah.
right? And maybe I should bring a picture of the thing they did in Mira Mesa, but it's very simple. They just put gigantic concrete planters, and people have to slow down before they hit them.
Because there's Wade Street, which is
Okay.
used by both cities and the volume of cars, but one's 25 and one's 30. Mesa has their own.
They have their own,
calculation that
yeah.
they do, right? It's the same volume of cars,
Mhm.
going the same speeds.
Mhm. Good. All right. Do we have anything else?
Any comments?
Comments?
Yeah.
All right, if there's nothing else. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks
We'll
for the
see you next
cookies.
month.
That was my dinner.
Thanks, Joyce.
Thanks, everyone.
Like Frederick.